Good afternoon, everyone. Uh, this is the sound test. Can you guys hear me? Just let me know if you guys have any questions, see my screen or hearing me. We'll figure that out. Everything shows perfect from my side. All right, let's get started. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. First, I just want to say thank you for joining our online webinar and stay with Rhino, especially during this pandemic. And most importantly, I hope you all are doing well and make sure you stay safe. So I will be hosting today's webinar. By the way, my name is Jeremy, the technical engineering manager here at Rhino. So if you guys have any question, please type them in the chat session. So I will take care of those questions either during the webinar or at the end of the webinar. So I would prefer we have a QA session at the end of the webinar. And of course, you are more than welcome to email me your questions or your projects. So we are here to help you. All right. All right. In case you don't have the full picture, we are having a series of webinars, including this one. So I'm having 2 webinars each week on a rolling basis. That means if you miss the one on Thursday, don't worry. Come back next Thursday. Contents are absolutely identical. So the 2 webinars hosted by me are primarily designed for people that only have little experience about carbon fiber in general, or you only have used carbon fiber for some specific application and you want to explore more potential of this material. So if that describes you, this is the right place. So in other words, if you have already know what to expect in terms of carbon fiber, and you want to dig more into the details of practice, so make sure you sign up for webinars that are organized by my colleague Johnny and Mike. So they will cover a wide range of topics that you might interested. So I believe Johnny and Mike just add more topics to their future webinars. So make sure you go to our website and register for the one you are interested. All right, let's come back to our webinar. So today's topic will be more focused on commercial application of CFRP. So if your current scope of work is residential projects, so make sure you come back on Tuesday. I will be talking about concrete repair and the structural strengthening for residential projects. But nevertheless, both webinars are talking about the same material. So the only differences are how we use them and the complexity of the design. So today's webinar will be a relatively short one. So I only have 2 big topics to cover. So for commercial projects, I think it's better to show the potential of the CFRP during this short webinar, and we can then discuss more details about your project in terms of engineering design and applications. So let me first introduce some basic facts about carbon fiber or CFRP. So carbon fiber or fiber reinforced polymer in general, such as Kevlar, glass fiber, and ceramic, are extremely strong in terms of tensile strength. So Rhino provides CFRP with different densities and wave patterns. The 2 major types we are providing for residential projects are 400 GSM unidirectional carbon fiber and 560 GSM bidirectional carbon fiber. The 400 GSM unidirectional carbon fiber only gives tensile strength in one direction, but it allows for the concentrated density of fibers that will provide maximum longitudinal tensile potential. So in commercial project, we can use unidirectional carbon fiber for a situation like a beam flexural strengthening or beam shearing strengthening. So I will be talking this more in details later. For bidirectional carbon fiber, as the name suggested, it gives tensile strength in both directions because it's special wave pattern. So it can be applied for more general scenarios like wrapping up a structure or general concrete repair. And we will be launching more options probably this year for commercial projects. So we are still in process of evaluating the material at this moment. So using heavier CFRP will give you higher strength, that's for sure. But that is the general trend. But you have to know that as a contractor, you need to spend more effort to saturate the CFRP with epoxy. So, but anyway, if you are an engineer or contractor and you need some CFRP for specific project that we don't have in stock, just simply tell us. So we are the manufacturer and we can work this out together. So for tensile properties, those are the numbers that engineers will need for their design. So we have the average tensile strength from the third-party lab. Then we're applying some reduction factor according to ACI, and here's then you get the fracture tensile strength, which will be used for your design. Then you have the composite thickness. So those numbers are from the lab as well, but during the practice, it should be noticed that the thickness will vary. But as long as the CFRP is saturated, you should be fine. And the CFRP, of course, come with different weight based on your need. Those weights should be able to cover a broad variety of applications. So if you want to know more details about our materials, please refer to our TDS. They are all posted on our website. All right, let's move to our core chapter for today, structural strengthening for commercial projects, and how to apply CFRP to increase the load-bearing capacity of a structure. The first one, let me just, all right. So the first one, slab column connection. So studies have shown that CFRP strengthening leads to significant improvement in structural behavior of slab column connections. So if you look at the pictures underneath, different CFRP configurations have been proposed and tested. Compare the two pictures in the middle. You can see that CFRP changes the failure pattern. So I would say from a punching shear failure in the middle, punching shear failure to like near surface delamination on the right. If you look at the load and deflection curve in the fourth figure, the blue line represent the non-strengthened slab column connection. Almost every, and then you can look at the rest of the lines, almost every CFRP treated sample increase the ultimate load capacity as well as the stiffness. So when I talk about the ultimate load capacity, it just simply means the biggest force a structure can take, which happens to be the highest point on the graph. And stiffness means the slope of the loading curve. So it's here. CFRP with the addition CFRP strengthening, the higher stiffness, increase the stiffness means that the structure can take more loads but deflect less with the help of CFRP. Another similar application would be using CFRP to strengthen the slab opening. So if you are doing a renovation project that requires cutting openings on slabs, using CFRP to strengthen the parameter of the opening is just an easy and quick way to stabilize the structure. So if you were with us on Tuesday's webinar, you will know that we always recommend using CFRP to wrap around any opening on a basement wall. So a typical example is window. Any kind of opening on a load-bearing structure is problematic. So if you ever use the simulation software to see the stress distribution, so basically you will see the edges of the opening are the dangerous zone. If the structure will fail, it will likely start from the opening. All right, that's for slab column connection, and the next one is column confinement. So this is probably one of the most common CFRP practice you could see. So the level of extra strength gain is depending on how hard you wrap up the column. So you can simply use unidirectional carbon fiber to do the work if it's only for confinement. In this graph shown at the bottom left, the line at the bottom represent the column without any strengthening. As you can see here, the behavior of the concrete column changes significantly as the level of confinement increases. For example, it alters the behavior from strength softening, which is the second line here, to a strength hardening as you increase the layer of confinement. So consider the extra amount of strength gain after the confinement and how friendly it is to do the job. you literally just need to do the surface preparation and then apply the CFRP. So I guess that is why this become really popular. And this is another very typical and common application of CFRP in commercial projects. So whenever your structural beam have an unexpected load increase or stress loss due to corrosion, CFRP will probably be the fastest way to increase the load bearing capacity. So the figure on the left shows 3 major wrapping schemes that are recommended by ACI 440 for shear strengthening. So the first one, completely wrap. Based on my experience, is this type of wrapping is not quite common in North America comparing to the other two. So it is majorly used for increasing the ductility of a column beam connection in earthquake area. So as you can see here, for completely wrapping, it requires cutting through the slab to achieve the configuration. So by cutting through the slab, if you are working the contractor side, you know this is the pain in the ass because you don't want to touch any of those rebars inside the slab. We do occasionally have clients from places like Puerto Rico that want to do a full wrap, since the increase of ductility is crucial for structure under seismic events such as earthquake. The second one, 3-sided U-wrap. So also the most common one for beam shear strengthening. So it usually starts from the node. Imagine this is node, this is column. Usually start from the node and extend at a certain spacing to the point that the shear strength of the original structure is sufficient. So if you look at the figure on the right, it is the side view for 3-sided U-wrap. You can do like an off straight pattern or like incline a little bit. So it is totally depends on the engineering design. And similar to shear strengthening, CFRP can be also used to increase the flexural strength of a beam. So the only difference is that instead of running fiber transversely to the longitudinal axis of the beam, so CFRP is placed at the tension phase along the length of the member to give extra flexural strength. So record has shown that CFRP can increase the overall flexural strength from 10 to 160%. So if you are a structural engineer, you should be really familiar with this stress diagram on the right. So that indicates the design analysis. So the figure underneath shows some way to anchor the flexural strengthening. One of the easiest ways to do the U-wrap anchoring. So you basically add additional shear strength to the structure. So this is the U-wrap. You basically add the additional shear strength to the structure at the same time. Of course, you can do other anchor as well, such as the near surface mounted anchor or simply straps transversely on top of the major fiber, or even do some like mechanical anchoring to the beam soffit. It really depends on the engineering design or the situation of the structure. So yeah, the next one. So this is probably not a big concern for most of the audience. So CFRP is actually actively used in seismic strengthening. So remember the complete wrapping of a beam we just discussed. This is an example of seismic strengthening. So here is another example. You wrap up around the column slab or column beam connection to achieve higher inelastic rotational capacity of the plastic hinge. So that means under a certain seismic event, without proper design or such kind of strengthening, those connections will be waving like a long rubber stick. That means they don't have any strength anymore. Could be very dangerous. That's why we strengthen those connections using carbon fiber. So those are some of the major topics I want to cover for today. But Rhino has been involved in a broad range of supply for carbon fiber, and it is not limited by the topics we just mentioned. So for example, we've been suppliers for pipeline repair projects in oil and gas industry. So you may already know that CFRP or FRP has been officially suggested as an non-mechanical method of repairing or strengthening pipelines. So PCC2 is the code of guidance. So simply email us with your projects and we can start from there. So for commercial projects, there will be several rounds of interaction between before the final plan. But anyway, this wrap up today's webinar. So we do, and last but not least, we do provide design suggestions, and they are free, quick, and complimentary. So more importantly, the design suggestions are based on latest industry codes. But you should also keep in mind that we call them design suggestions. That means we, as a manufacturer, do not stamp the design. So you need to find your licensed engineer to take the liability. So the idea is that we want to provide the convenience and efficiency to our customer during the entire phase of the project. So feel free to share your project with Rhino, and that is the end of my webinar. And today will be yeah, like I said, this will be a relatively short one, and I'm willing to answer your questions right now. I'll be staying around in case you guys have any questions. Okay, Stanley asked a question. Where can be the various cost of your product we get? So Stanley, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. So could you just elaborate the question a little bit more? Like, are you asking where you can purchase the product, or how does the varies?
Yeah, I'm sorry, there's a typo there. The auto correction messed it up. Okay, I was saying, where can we get the various costs or the cost of the various products? Like when I'm on the website, it doesn't give any prices, the costs for the various products.
Oh, right. So like if you go, yeah, like that's a really good question. So if you go to our website, like the entire website is more like for DIYer or like residential projects. So we basically, I'm not sure if you come to the Tuesday one. So basically for residential project, we sell them in kits, and that is the fixed cost. So, but for commercial project, we basically deal with like in a case by case manner. So if you order a lot of them, that would be like the price will be much sweeter.
Right. So where do you get the costs for the residential kits? Because I don't see those.
Oh, right. You can just email me, because usually we get the order by phone call or Amazon. We're still like we are trying to updating the Amazon platform right now. We accept the order by phone call. So you can simply email us what kind of like which kit you are interested in, and then we will email you the cost.
Okay. Now, are your costs pretty well the same as the costs on Amazon?
It should be the same. Yeah, that's what we try to figure out, because something wrong with the Amazon. Like somebody say, sometimes it's cheaper and sometimes it's like more expensive. So we try to like figure that out. But the easiest way is because in terms of getting our product, you can go to the distributor, because some of the distributor have their own contractors. That's why that's how some of the contractor get the kits. But for most for the major population, you can just directly get the product from us. That'll be more straightforward.
Right. So do you have distributors in the Dallas, Texas area?
I think we have. Let me just put you on a loop with our district sales manager, and he can definitely help you out with that. But like I said, getting a kit from the distributor is probably the same as getting a kit from us, because we process the order like a couple of hours and we ship it right away. So it will be in front of your garage in like 2 or 3 days, depending on where you are. Because we have warehouse in Ohio, and we also have warehouse in Mississauga, Canada.
Okay.
So usually the shipping takes 2 to 3 days, and we process the order immediately. That's the case. Yeah.
Right. Now I'm also in Texas, also up in the Ottawa, Canada area. Is the price the same? Would you take exchange rate into account, or am I better to buy it in the States and just declare it going across the border?
That's a really good question. I never thought about that, but I think in general, because Rhino starts in the States. Originally, it started the state decades ago, so all our price is based on the U.S. dollar. But for Canadian market, we have them in Canadian dollar. I think it's just simply the currency exchange. That's it. But okay. I'll give you both price. You can take a look and which one you find it's better, works for you, you can go for that way.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, thank you, Jeremy. That's great.
Stanley, did you have my email? You can just simply send me an email and we can put you on loop with our district sales manager, and you guys can talk more about it.
Right. Yes, I've got your email, and I think I got his stuff too. From other.
Oh, great. All right, great.
That's good. Thanks. Appreciate
No
it.
problem. Yeah, take care.
Okay.